And it's day one and you walking in there on the first day, man, you in there, man. But you feel something. It's right in here, man. And it's screaming and it's yelling and it's saying, release me. And it's saying, I am the number one determinant of the success or failure of my students. Hey, y'all, when you get back, kick some butt, and I'll see you in the winner's circle celebrating your victory. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! You got this! You got this! You got this! Thank everybody.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to week 192 of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me see who we got here. I'm a couple minutes on late this morning, but we good. We got Faithful in the building. Mona Abamolek is in the building. She says good morning to my wife and I. We got Dr. Rachel Edo Eckett. I got to reach out to you, Doc. I got a date that I wanted to offer to you in the summer, so I'll be in touch. We got Grace Castaneda in the building. We got Takesha High. We got Rodney Richardson, Marsha Poe. Same thing, Marsha. I'll be in touch. We got Tashika Truesdale, Edgar Ray, Dr. Rella Hicks, Lynette Wilson. They're all in the building. We got Abasola Ashuntalu in the building. We got what we got. We got just the Roman numeral 2 in the building. Leslie, oh, that's Leslie Lyles. Okay, I see you. I see you. We got Charlena Hottie, Anika Williams, Stacy L. Joy, always helping out with the promotion. Lysandra Brackens, Demetrius Scott. That's the good doctor, Demetrius Scott, in the building. We got Rashard Davis in the 702. That's Vegas. We got, where we at? Vanessa Zeskin is in the building. Michael Benton, my man, is in the building. Yolanda McKinney is checking in. Adrian Young is here. Principal Sherrod Laws is in the building. He said Habari Ghani, so I got to respond to him, Nia, and throw it back at you, Habari Ghani. Ronald Pugh, I'm going to explain all that to somebody that said, what is he talking about? We're going to explain that in a minute. We got Lisa DeBose Walker, Principal McKeever Jeter. Where we at? Principal Sherrod Laws, he threw a Hotep at me too. Hotep, back to you. You might as well throw in a Lafayette at me then. That means peace from ancient Kemet, meaning Egypt. Leslie Thompson Love, Renee Lovelace, Dr. Sheikah Houston, who's standing by, is in the building. There's my wife. I've been missing her for 2 weeks now. The queen is in the building. Kimberly, no, she ain't in the building. She in the castle, right? Somebody said, you don't live in no castle, man. It's a little joint, man, but it serves the purpose. Kimberly Broughton Kafele in the building. She said, Habari Ghani family. Central Hicks is in the building. I'm getting ready to get it started, y'all. James Wilburn in the building. Lavelle Johnson, John Herricks, Golfar WT. He said, happy Kwanzaa. Happy Kwanzaa back at you. Valerie Kelly. I'm getting ready to close it down, y'all. There go Jacqueline Harriet. We were just dialoguing a few minutes ago. Joe Truss in the building. Man, we got to get you on here, Joe. Right? We got to make it happen. Joe Truss, Portland, by way of San Francisco. Donna Medina, Donna messing up. Donna Medina, Shara Gantz in the building. I think I'm going to end it right there, too. Good to see you, Donna. She's major with the promotion of this platform. I see Jasmine Harris. I got to shout her out, man. She's been very consistent. I see you out there, California, man, always on and always on time. But she ain't just on here. She on the other ones too. She gets up early in the morning, man. She gets up and watch Sean at 7 o'clock Pacific time. Right, that's some dedication right there. Let me see if I see any local homies on here. I do see Arlette Mello Johnson, Connecticut Assistant Principal of the Year. She'll be on here soon. I see the boss educator. She's in the building. Where we at? Where we at? Where we at? All right, I see one homie. I'm gonna end it right here. Keith Hinton II is in the building. That's the East Orange homie, man. So that's a good place to end. Good to see you, Keith. Happy Kwanzaa to you. And with that being said, y'all, we got to get it started. So let me say formally, before I say my good morning, just let me say, hit that share button, hit that retweet, hit that repost, hit that share, hit whatever they call it on the platforms you're watching. We're on 4 different platforms. I didn't go to Instagram just yet. They got a few steps I just don't want to be playing with yet, but we'll get there. But hit all those. Let them know we got the powerful conversation today. So now, formally, good morning. Greetings. Welcome to week 192 of the AP and New Principals Academy. Man, you know, I could ask how are you, but I'm gonna cut that out today because I got a few things I got to say to y'all this morning before we get rocking. So let me let you know how I feel, man. Today's the 5th day of Kwanzaa. The day of purpose, the day of Nia, and whatever day it is, it could be any day of the 365, but I'm in my season right now. This is the season that propels me into the new year. Kwanzaa, this is my springboard, man. So I'm in it right now. So I'm going to let you know, if you haven't picked up on it, just from my energy right now, I'll be definitive when I tell you that I'm on fire! Woo! 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 And one more time. Woo! That's how I'm feeling, baby. That's how I'm feeling. I just got to let you know, man. You know, so, but I want you to know that because I want you to feel it with me. Don't leave me in isolation, right? Like he got the energy and I'm down. Nah, take some of this, man. Like, let me give it to you. Let me get here. Take this. Take this. Take this. Let me blow it. Right? Take it. It's yours, baby. Keep the cap on the bottle, man. Ain't no douse in this, right? So, look, y'all. Hit that share button, hit that retweet, hit that like button. Even if you hate it, hit the like button anyway, right? That wakes up them algorithms and lets them know it's something going on that channel, right? So welcome to the 5th day of Kwanzaa, y'all. December 30th, always December 30th is always the 5th day. It's called Nia, right? And it means purpose. I'm gonna get into that in a minute, but let me just go through my rundown. Shout out to Black Educators Rock. That's an organization I belong to. It's a Facebook page of 150,000 members, group, I should say. But it's also an organization I belong to, led by Dr. Melissa Nolan Chester, our CEO. And we've been doing Kwanzaa live streams every day this week, every day. 7 days, all 7 days. So shout out to Black Educators Rock for doing these Kwanzaa live streams every day. I know a lot of y'all been on there too. Welcome to the first timers. But if this is your first time, that means you missed 191 sessions. 191. That's a whole lot, man. But you can go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button when you get there, AP and New Principals Academy, and join us. Right? Watch, binge watch. Like if you was gonna watch whatever shows come on now. I'm not going to name no shows, right? Whatever you watch, don't watch them, right? Just go to the channel and just binge watch. It'll take you like a long time because they're all 90 minutes to 2 hours long, but there's 191 quality sessions on the channel. Hit the subscribe button. I think we're going to get 19,900 subscribers today because we're like right there at 19,895. But I want to have 20,000 subscribers, right? So hit that hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't hit it yet, hit that subscribe button, man. I want to get to 20,000, man. That's a milestone for me. That's personal, man. It's just a good feel that so many people will want to be associated with that channel, that YouTube channel. So, and then also make sure you like and follow the AP and New Principals Academy Facebook page, man. Make sure you do that as well, right? Let's go. It's we in the Kwanzaa season, man, and the kind of gifts you give in Kwanzaa, they're not toys and commercial items and materialistic stuff. It's educational and cultural. So these are the kinds of things you would buy. So I guess I'll be selfish and say, get somebody the assistant principal 50, right? Get somebody the assistant principal identity. Get somebody the aspiring principal 50. Get somebody the principal 50, or get somebody, is my school a better school because I lead it? These are my leadership books. I got teacher books too. I probably should show you those in the spirit of Kwanzaa, but I won't. Just go to Amazon and you will see them. Put my name in, Principal Kafele, Baruti. Put my name in and you'll see them all there. Get somebody a book, man. Y'all, and appreciate y'all for keeping a lot of these books in that top 100 all throughout the holiday season on Amazon. That means y'all are purchasing the books, and that's a good thing. I'm blessed. All right, I gotta get to my monologue, y'all. Hit the share button, hit the retweet, do all that stuff, and let the people know we here. But I got this monologue I want to share with you. Let me put it on the screen. And by the way, my mother keeps saying, you stop telling the people the jerseys you're wearing. You got to keep telling them because you got new people coming on. I'm wearing the Philadelphia Giants Negro League team. I wear Negro League jerseys every week. And let me get that out the way. So I wear these Negro League jerseys just to celebrate, to pay homage, pay tribute to the Negro League ball players during that time when black athletes, baseball players were not allowed to play in the major leagues because they were born black. So this is my tribute to them every Saturday morning. We go to this monologue, y'all, and then I'm gonna bring up my guest, man. We got a powerful conversation scheduled. It says 2 educators work in a school. One is on a job, the other is on a mission. Their results will be dramatically different. Now, there's a reason I put this on the screen. There's a reason I even chose this as a monologue. This is the most polarizing post I've ever written since social media has been invented, right? This post, I wrote it many years ago. And you know how in social media, stuff it'll come up and then it'll die and it's done. And then something will trigger it to come back. Well, this is a post. I wrote this years ago and it was polarizing. Yeah, some people, it was like, I'm with you, Kafele. And some people completely trash me. Right. So and see, in turn, it wasn't on my page that they were trashing me. It was the thing, it kind of went viral. So it was trashing me on other sites, other pages. So I haven't thought about that quote in a long time. I use it in presentations from time to time. But someone sent it to me on it, and he may be on here now. I won't call your name, sir. But he sent it to me on an Instagram inbox about 3 days ago. But he didn't send the comments. But since I knew how polarizing the post was, I said, let me go to the comments. He sent it to me just to applaud me, like, I'm with you, Kafele. That's how I feel. Mission versus job. So I went on the comments, and man, a whole new energy, man. I was like, it was like in real time. They trashing me, like, who does God think he is, man? They ain't paying me enough to be on no mission. You know, I mean, it was crazy, man. So I said, you know, it's like we in Kwanzaa. I said, I can't let this bring my energy down. So let me just get rid of it. So I just got off of it because I can't control it because it's on so many other people posted. But I think that they posted in innocence. Like they're thinking, okay, it's a good thing. Let me put this on my page. And then here come all the vultures, right? So I'm saying that to say this, y'all, then I'm gonna bring up my guests. 2 educators work. I'm saying this in the spirit of today's principle, NIA, purpose. 2 educators work in a school. One is on a job. The other is on a mission. their results will be dramatically different. Let me tell y'all something, man. Let me look into this camera on this one. I stand on that. I don't care what nobody says. I stand on that post, that quote I wrote out of my imagination. I stand on it. Let me break it down slightly now. See, a post was just a post. Now let me break it down. Listen, somebody. That word purpose, that's your why. That's your reason. That word mission, that's what you're about, what you stand on, right? So I'm saying, see, Kwanzaa, because I got to bring Kwanzaa in here, y'all. I told my guests, my team, I should say, in this context, I told them, I said, y'all got to give me a couple minutes because I got to do this. See, Kwanzaa is an African-American holiday. That's what it is, right? So when you are rooted, grounded, planted in your history, right? You're going to look at the world differently. You're going to look at it through a very different lens from the one who's not rooted, not grounded, not planted in the history, right? Like there's a word to describe that. It's called conscious. So when one is conscious, when one has consciousness, meaning politically, socially, economically, historically, culturally, when one has that consciousness, they understand their role, they understand their duty, they understand their obligation, right? As it relates to history, as it relates to struggle. They understand that. So therefore, they approach life. I want y'all to hear me. I couldn't put all this in the post years ago when I wrote it. It's too much to write. So therefore, when they approach life, hear me, somebody. When they approach life, they're approaching it out of this deep level of consciousness. So when I was a teacher, I wasn't just the teacher on a job. I was the teacher on a mission to transform the lives of children so that when they go out into the world, they can in turn impact the lives of people. Like one of my former students is on this thread. I just don't know if I could find her. Her name is Letitia Anderson Davis. And she could tell this better than I could, actually, as my former 6th grade student. She's on here. She's a grown woman now, right? So I'm saying to you that I could not afford to walk into that classroom and treat my role as a job, a 9-to-5, a hustle, if you will. That was my life's mission. And I'm saying that, and I'll say the same thing in my leadership. So I'm therefore saying to somebody that you can go there and treat it as your job. But see, somebody that's on a mission and you're operating out of that consciousness I just talked to you about. And when I say let me make sure I'm clear. I don't mean just Black people. I mean anybody. And you operating out of this sense of consciousness that I got to play a role in helping these young people navigate these political streets, navigate these social streets, navigate these economic streets, navigate these historical streets, navigate these cultural streets. See, my role is not just to teach you language arts, math, science, and social studies. My job is to teach you to go out here and change the status quo. Well, I don't know that I could do that if I got a job mentality. Job mentality mean I'm looking at the clock to see when 3 o'clock gets here so I could punch out and go home. Mission mean I don't want Thanksgiving vacation. I don't want Christmas vacation. I don't want summer vacation because I'm on a mission to take these children to heights they ain't never seen before. See, that's a different mindset. So I'm saying to us, because I know ain't none of y'all the ones who was trashing me, because y'all be checking in. But I'm not trying to just explain that away either. I just want to make this my point is my end of the year monologue that I'm gonna read it to you. 2 educators work in a school. One is on a job, the other's on a mission. Their results will be dramatically different. I mean, they named me the teacher of the year for the school, the district, the county, and New Jersey State finalists in my 4th year of teaching. Because I was on a daggone mission. You can't stop nobody on a mission. You can't put your hand up and say stop to somebody on a mission, but someone on a job, you can say, yo, stop right there. They be like, hey, stop. But the mission, you saying stop, and I'm going right through you. Boom. You can't stop that. You might deter me or make me have to move differently, but you ain't gonna stop me. That's a mindset, somebody. That's an attitude, somebody. You better tell somebody, right? So let me end it right there, man, because I feel like there's so much more I want to say, and we ain't here for that. But I got what my man Stalin say. People really don't understand the fight for education in America. If they did, then they would understand your posts. Yeah, exactly. I mean, hey Vin, they were trashing me, man. If I ain't have thick skin, I might have had to go read the Bible or something, man. They would just coming at me. Like, man, y'all, it's just a post. Don't you have a life? So anyway, let me get this out of here. So let me get my guest up here, man. But let me just get organized here. Let me get organized. All right, here we go. Okay, get rid of that. Where's my guest at? Let me get my guest up here. I ran my mouth enough. I'm gonna change that background in a second. Let me just get my guest up here, man. Here we go. This ain't my guest. It's my team, man. It's my team. Now let me change this background, y'all. Y'all bear with me. I ain't never had 6 people on here in my life. I ain't used to this, man. I ain't used to this. I don't like that. Let's go with that. Hey, y'all. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank
you. We got the Fantastic Four in the building. Hit that share button, hit that retweet button, and let them know we are here. Now, there could be someone new, and he said Fantastic Four, but if I'm counting correctly, I see 6. What is he talking about? It's 4 different platforms. Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor are Create and Educate. Dean Packard and Josh Tovar are Unlock the Middle, and Sean Hurt is Sean Hurt, right? So so here we go. So hey, y'all, real quick, introduce yourselves. Dr. Houston, starting with you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Principal Kafele, for having us on. I am an educator out in South Carolina, senior consultant with Create and Educate with my trustmate over there, Dr. Tammy Taylor, and I. We provide professional development and support to leaders.
Love it. Dr. Taylor.
Good morning. I am the second half of that Create and Educate team. I'm Dr. Tammy Taylor, also in Chester, South Carolina. I am on a mission this morning, an educator on a mission.
I love it. Dean Packard, introduce yourself.
You got it. Listen, I'm Dean Packard. I am the principal of Bay Path Regional Vocational Technical High School, one of the co-founders of Unlock the Middle, and just super jacked to be here this morning, absorbing the energy and, more importantly, being part of a team that puts kids first. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my good friend over there, Josh Tovar, on the other side, my proud guy for Sunday nights, but also Chris Starcheski, one of the original founders of Unlock the Middle. So thank you for allowing me to be here this morning.
I love it. Principal Sean Hurt.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Sean Hurt from Detroit, Michigan. We call ourselves the D. I have my podcast every Saturday at 10 o'clock. And my mission is, like I said, I've been saying for the last 8 years, I need to transform schools all around the world. That's what I'm here to do, and that's what I love doing. And this is my family. I call you guys my educational family.
I love it. Josh Tovar.
Good morning, everybody. Josh Tovar, principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, Garland, USA. Ready to rock and roll with the Fantastic Four. Muchas gracias, jefe, for having us all ready and on fire. Hey, did you all clean your mirrors already? I did. Are we ready to lock it in? Hey, I don't got a lock right now, jefe, so take out that lock. Let's lock it in and let's roll with the Fantastic Four.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I haven't been using my lock lately, man. I gotta get my lock, man. Get my lock, man. I'm gonna get it while y'all talking because I haven't used it in a while. Right. So, hey, folks out there, fam, stay with us for a while today, man. We're not doing an interview. We're gonna have a conversation, and let me give you the genesis of where this came from. Sean Hurt was doing a session many months ago now, and he started talking about the role of the family, the role of the spouse, the role of the partner, right, the role of the friends, and all that kind of thing. And that got my wheels turning. So I reached out to Sean probably immediately. I said we need to do that, right? So then I had the idea we were going to focus this whole day just on that. But then I said, there's so many other things to talk about as well while we're all here together. This is not the last time we're going to be on together. I wanted to start off with that particular topic, spousal, partner, family, friendship, support of the leader. Because that's not a conversation that comes up. You know, that's I didn't get that in grad school in terms of what how my partner might support me. Go ahead, Josh. Oh, I thought you wanted to jump in. I didn't get that in grad school in terms of what role might my partner play, right? Who was in my case my wife, or what role might my children play, or what role might my mother play, or what role might my aunts and uncles and cousins play, or what role might my friends play, what role might my boy play. Y'all hear me reference Dr. Vincent Stallings all the time. What role might he play in my journey, in his role? You know, just to isolate him for a second, his role is significant, right, in terms of my journey, and I would like to think mine is significant in his as well. So I just want to start off. I'm not going to try to exhaust this as a topic because there's 6 of us up here, but let me say this to somebody. And I'm gonna put this in the context of me as a speaker first, and then I'm gonna work my way back to the school, but I'm gonna be short about it. You know, you all know I spend a lot of time on the road, a lot of time. And a lot of the younger speakers will come to me and say, Kafele, how are you making that work when you have a wife at home? Like, how are you doing that? And my answer is always very simple. I can probably quote myself. I say, my wife fully supports my mission, right? My wife fully supports my role, what I do. And I said, if I did not have that kind of a partner, then I could not do this work. It would be completely impossible to be able to go to that door, which I'm looking at right now, kiss my wife goodbye, say goodbye, and jump in an Uber car. I would not be able to do it because I would be preoccupied, right? So I have that kind of support. Now, let me go to the principalship. It was the same things. I mean, you all know, except for maybe the newbies on here who have only been in this business for a short period. No, I don't want to say the newbies. I want to say the aspirings that don't really know this yet. Man, let me tell you something. In my first 3 years, you may as well have had a bed in my office, because I lived in that place, right? I lived in that school. I mean, I was doing 8 hours on Saturday, and I was doing another 8 hours on Sunday. I was watching all the NFL games in my office on Sunday. I had a color TV in the office, so I'm watching the games. Then I'm doing about a 90, I think it was 94-hour week. But I'm married, and I had and with 3 children. Right. So because by the time I became a principal, my youngest was born. He was born in 99. And that's when I became a principal. So in 98. So I'm saying here to you all, my wife understood what I was doing. She understood my role. She understood my responsibilities as a leader. And she understood them formative years when I'm trying to get to know this position that it's going to require a lot of my time. It doesn't mean that I neglected family, because I didn't. But it does mean that I poured a lot of me into that school in order for me to be effective ultimately. Because I'm not going to say I was effective when I walked in there. You got to grow. And that's what that growth is. So that support, because imagine, I'm going to yield to one of you in a second. Imagine you're coming home to a partner, a spouse who is not supportive of the time you expend to the role. Just imagine that. And maybe somebody on the call, you saying, that's me. Well, then you need, I'm going to be truthful with you, respectfully. Have your partner get on this call right now. This is a partner. You need to listen to this with the folks on the call, right? Have your partner get on here. right? And listen to this, because you can't, I'm gonna tell you, you cannot be optimally effective if you've got a spouse or a partner that doesn't support what you do. You can't do it, because you'll be on the job thinking about the relationship all the time. I can't be on the job thinking about home. I gotta be thinking about them kids. I gotta be thinking about that staff. I gotta be thinking about their education. I gotta be thinking about the community. But if my mind is preoccupied with my relationship ain't working, then I can't give it my all. Right? So there's so much to say to this. I'm gonna shut up. Anybody jump on in here.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. That support is very important. And I think when you're talking about support, men versus women, for me, it looks differently than it does for you, of course, because with me having children, and when I became a principal, I had 2 daughters. So in the middle of the night, if I got a call that the alarm was going off at the school and I'm on, hey, you principal, you on dock, you got to go. So my husband's looking at me like, where you going? It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to the school. The alarm is going off. You're not going by yourself. So we packing up 2 babies because he's not allowing me to go to the school by myself to see what's happening. So, that support is there. And I think it does look differently, for the different roles.
But before someone jumps in there, let me just say this real quick. What you said, man, something, we should have kept this whole session just on this, right? But what you just said, like, I remember those nights. You got to get up and you got to go to the school, right? Got a flood or something. But as you just said, as a woman, see, so now husband could be tired or whatever it is. It's late, it's 3 a.m, whatever it is, but you can't go to that school by yourself, right? Because you don't know what you're gonna walk into at that hour, right? So there it is. Once again, do I have that support? Right. That's support outside of the school hours now, right? Do I have that support? I'm gonna be quiet. Y'all get ahead.
Yeah.
Shaker,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dean.
I just wanted to say two quick things here. When we signed on to be leaders, we become servant leaders. That means 24/7, whether we like that or not. We've got to absorb that into our lives. What we need to do is find balance. I've been 22 years as a building principal, and I'm smiling because the alarm did go off this weekend at my house here, and I had to respond to that. And it was 11:30 at night. So these things do happen, but we have to understand, when we sit in this role, we have to make sure that we are there and the first person to respond to those types of things. That sets the stage. That models the type of behavior that is beyond the job versus mission. So I absolutely love that. Tammy, go ahead and take it now.
Thank you, Dean. I was just going to kind of pick up on where Sheikah left off with the middle of the night. That was a big thing. And Taylor and I did not have 2 small children that we would have to pack up, but my school is a distance from where I live. So you had to factor into the middle of the night call a 35, 45-minute drive, depending on, how long it took me to get to the interstate area. But there was that whole notion of, what in the world, who expects a female to go to a school in the middle of the night? And I had to explain exactly what you were just saying, Dean. This is a part of the responsibility that comes with this role. And so that takes a special and very unique navigation in and of itself. And I love Principal Kafele, what you were saying. And I shout out to you, Mrs. Kafele, for standing with them and by him and all the other spouses who do that on a daily basis. But I think one of the most important things that we should be able to discuss in a forum such as this one is we have to be fair and reasonable so that we can make sure that our spouses know what kind of support we need. Like you have to be able to explain that in a way that makes sense, because for Taylor, it didn't make any sense. What you going to do when you get there? I'm going to go in and turn off the alarm. And, you know, in his mind, well, who's it hurting? It's 2:00 in the morning. Who's going to even know? But helping him to understand what my position in that was, I think made the support that he could provide me even more meaningful to me, because now you've just gotten off. He owns a restaurant, so you've just gotten in here and it's 12 o'clock. You've just gotten settled, and now it's 2:00, and we got to go take an hour ride so that I could turn the alarm off. But that's a part of being in a relationship where you need that kind of support. And I'll also say, while we're talking about that, I think that the support looks differently depending on what the role is, because I didn't really need him to go with me to turn off the alarm when I was trying to navigate my mission as a teacher. I was there. I was there when they opened. I was there when they closed, and I was there on Saturdays and Sunday. What I needed from him then was patience or willingness to come and watch the football game with me while I'm working. You know, so we had to figure this thing out together. And one added factor for us was Taylor and I married when we were teenagers. So I've evolved as a person over time, not just as a leader. We've got to figure out how to know each other through all of these various phases that we're going through, whatever the role is.
And you know what? Let me just jump in there real quick. It's crucial that this is the Aspiring Assistant Principals Academy. And when you're looking for posts on jobs you're going to interview, hey, educator out there, you have to, as Principal Kafele says, you can't fake the funk with your partner, with your spouse, with your wife. You're going to be at events after lightning strikes in football that the football game don't get out to 2 a.m. Your wife don't get that. You're going to be missing your kids' birthdays. You know what? If you're applying for a D school or an F school, you're going to have to put in 3 times the work. They don't get that. They don't understand that you building relationships creates a culture of positivity. And if you're not there role modeling the expectations, you're faking the funk. So you have to have those conversations when you're putting in the application. So, hey, educator, if you are going to go into a school that's low performing, just know you're going to put in the time. And you cannot complain. Though you cannot complain that you applied for a low performing school, because you know that it takes a lot of hard work and dedication. And that goes side by side with, you're going to miss dinners. You're going to miss your mother-in-law's birthday. You're going to be missing all those things that are tied to your family. And we all know this. We're all elder statesmen, not as much as Dean, but we're all elder statesmen that we know one thing. This chair that we sit in creates a lot of divorces. Mm. People don't talk about that, in separations and a lot of alcohol. Call me a liar. Someone call me a liar. All I tell you is the truth, because you know what? What happens after an 11 o'clock basketball game? Let's go to Applebee's real quick. I just want to calm down and then go home. That's the reality, and those are the unwritten chapters by Sir Giovanni in the Principalship book.
Oh, man. Sean, jump on in there.
Yeah, no, what everybody said a lot. I'm thinking about been married for 18 years, but when I started to, I'm gonna go old school, court my wife when we dating. You know, that's old school. Old school courting. But I had to realize that as a single person, will this person that I marry benefit what I'm doing or enhance, or will this person take away? And that was very big for me, because if this is my mission, if this is what I am, I can't turn it off and turn it on when I get home. This is me 24/7. And then also with that, when we did get married, I asked permission. I said, when we have kids, I'm a principal. I want my kids to attend the school that I'm a principal of. So now it took away a lot of the things that my wife had to do, because I took the kids to school. I'm the principal, did her homework at the school, did all that kind of thing. So it took a lot of stuff away. But one thing that I was very proud of my wife, she was able to enhance me as a principal because there were certain things that I'm not good at. I don't have a good, what's the word for it? I'm a more focused, I'm driven. Let's get the work done. Let's make these scores. And she was like, hey, you know what? Your teacher has a birthday coming up next month. Let's go to the mall and get Mrs. Such and such something for her birthday. This is my wife picking out stuff for my staff, taking money out of my household, but I was cool with it because it was blessing my staff. So that's when I said, okay, my wife is enhancing what I'm doing as an educator in my mission in life. So I would say to anybody, if you are courting someone, you got to look at those things. Please, before you even get married, look at those things. Is that person going to enhance what you're doing, or is it going to bring you down?
Woo, that's some powerful stuff there. Let me throw this in here. Look at it. Let me look at it through a different perspective. You know, we're talking right now as if this principal is, you know, working hard, doing her or his thing and growing, etc. But let's look at this. I had and I think you all know, I'm sure you all know, I know Josh does because I preached it to him in San Antonio. But we sometimes we go through a situation where there's situations that break us spiritually, emotionally, mentally. I went through that. I went through a 2-year period where I was pretty much broken, right? But trying to be me. But here's the dynamic I want to hear what your thoughts are. I'm dealing with this on the work side, and I'm not in a good space. I'm in a bad space. But I got to come home every day. And my family doesn't know me that way. Right? They don't know like broken Kafele, broken dad, I should say, broken husband, right? They know what they see every day. So now I'm on this job and I'm in a bad space emotionally. But I got to come home every day, right? So when we talk about that, and we've been talking kind of spousal and family, but I want to also look at some of these other components. But talk to us, and I'm gonna give my thoughts, and then I want you guys to chime in. When I came home, I don't know that they fully, my wife did, but the kids were too young to fully appreciate what I was dealing with inside. I mean, one day I had to check into the emergency room. I was that bad, right? So that spouse, that family member, that friend will never fully appreciate the role of a leader until they step into those shoes. But if they can at least empathize with it and make the distinction between spouse at home and spouse at work, right? Because there's a support that's needed, but it may not be, and I'm speaking it from my vantage point, a support where you fully understand what it is to walk in that building. But if I know when I come home that I'm in my comfort zone, I'm in my place of peace, and I've got folks that are not going to brush it to the side, but let me vent, contribute where necessary, right? Then I got the right kind of balance. I got the right kind of support that I need when I come home, as opposed to I'm at school and I got some superintendent who's making my life miserable, or I got some parent that's making my life miserable, or some community activist that's making my life miserable. And then I come home and it's not an ideal situation for me, right? So now between school and home, I got no place of peace, right? I don't have that place that I need, that I can relieve myself of this stuff that I'm dealing with at the job, right? So I'm bringing that into the conversation because I just have to imagine that between the live audience and people who will see the video, there's somebody who's dealing with the same kinds of stuff. Like none of us, particularly as men, but I don't want to discount women, are going to admit I'm broken right now. We that's not what we do. Like I wasn't going around saying to my friends or family, yo, he got me, but I was not me, right? So. But when you got that partner that can discern what's happening, and understands his or her role in helping me to navigate this thing so that I can get back on my feet, then I got that balance that I need in my life, and my house can still be that place of refuge, that place of peace, right? What are your thoughts?
Well, let me just jump in there. That goes back to your spouse. I mean, there's been times where I would come home from work and, as principals, we're on TV, we're in the newspaper. So you could come home from work and they're saying things about you on TV and the newspaper. That's not right. It's been many times. So I would look at my wife and she would say, no, it's fine. You're built for this. You can't throw in the towel. You're built for this. We go out to dinner and people looking around and saying, hey, that's Principal Hurt from such and such. Wasn't he on whatever? So Principal Kafele, you're saying some powerful stuff. And it goes back to that spouse has to understand that it's just not the school 7 to 4. It's 24/7. It's you're just as famous as the mayor. You're just as famous as whatever in that community. So they have to understand that, hey, it's going to be some things that's going to be said about the wife, the spouse, the husband, the kids. And we just got to understand we have to walk in our truth and keep on. Goes back. What is the mission that we're trying to do? What is that mission that we're trying to do as the Hurt family, as the such and such family moving forward?
Hey, Dean, before you jump in, I would just be remiss if I didn't just jump right in on what Sean just said. Sean and the rest of us out here.
Yeah.
I was the lead story on the news.
I know.
The 10 o'clock news. I was the lead story. The heading said "Principal under fire." Right. Imagine my kids were like, I would say my oldest son, he must have been like 12 or 13. And that would make the youngest one about 9. Maybe it's a little bit more, but we are literally sitting in this room watching the news with me having no clue that I'm about to be on the news. I don't know this because it's because I'm suspended. Right. So I'm home. I'm not part of that. So now here it is. It's on the news. And I'm sitting there with my sons. I got to explain this, man. It's not that they didn't know what was happening, but it's at another height now because it's on television. It's the lead story for 3 consecutive 10 o'clock news, major New York City news, right? So imagine you in your home, and now you're being portrayed in that light.
Yeah.
You need that support. Whether it be family, whether it be friends, whether it be whomever. Like you just said, Sean, and I'm going to shut up. Hey, somebody out there watching right now. Sean just said it. You the star. You a celebrity. You the principal of a building. And that one little thing could make you the headline in a newspaper. It can make you the lead story on the newscast. That one little innocent thing. Where's your family? Where's your friends? Where's your partner, your spouse, your whomever? What is their role now in keeping you whole? That's a question that we got to always grapple with.
Can I just add one more minute and I'm gonna be quiet? I know.
We know this should have been the whole
Principal Kafele, when you came to visit my school in Muskegon Heights 8 years ago, we were on state takeover. You came and visited about October. The superintendent told me that if we do not increase student achievement at this school based on our state scores, the whole district is going to go ahead and dissolve, and the kids going to go to another district. Now, mind you, our state test was in Michigan. This was 8 or 9 years ago. We took the state test in the middle of the year in November. We got the scores back. Listen to me, Dr. Taylor. We got the scores back December the 27th. The preliminary scores back 2 days after Christmas. You talking about pressure. So if my school didn't hit the home run and knock it out the box, my Christmas and everybody's Christmas was going to be bad. And now, we did what we had to do. Scores was good. The rest is history. But just imagine family, my friend, the whole community, like it rides on you. Hurt. You got to make this work. You got to make $1 out of 15 cents. You better do your magic, buddy.
And our story, Tammy and I, when we were in school improvement, is similar to that, where that pressure was applied. And, we were told if we didn't turn the schools around. Of course, we would be back in classrooms. And the strategy under different leadership that we have right now was that, we're going to disassociate ourselves with all of these schools that are failing. We're going to paint the picture that they are incompetent so that when we do put them back in the classroom next year, because that was the plan, they told us that we had no way to get out of what we were in. Then we got proof. So in order to have the proof that they needed to the people that they reported to, the strategy was, hey, we're going to go to the school and we're going to just keep documenting things. So I keep getting these visits from district staff members and getting an email where the superintendent is copied. I saw this at the school today, just harassment. So I got to the point where, it became too much. I'm not going to do this. So I told my husband, I said, listen, I am not going to just sit and allow this to happen to me or to my students. We're going to get out of this, but I'm not going to have this added pressure to me. So I'm going to file a grievance. And it was a big, thick packet. And I said, I might get fired. It might backfire on me. Am I okay? I mean, you gotta, before I do this, we gotta be on the same page. Because if I get fired, that's my job. We gotta find some more income. We're a 2-family home, not just one income home. We're a 2-income home. So he had to be on that page with me. And he said, you know what? You're not a person that this is not you don't do this. So it must be really bad. Do it. I got you. So I filed the grievance and I strategically gave the packet at the board meeting because I wanted the other board members to ask what was in the packet. And they did. After that, I was left alone.
And I'll say this just as a part of that story. And Principal Kafele, this kind of goes back to, I guess, of course, I was not on this midnight news, but I was the front page of the local newspapers, and we have 2 that serve our area. My school was a failing school, and to take the heat off of everything else that was going on, because although we were in the worst situation at that time, there were other schools that were not doing well, but because we were where we were, we could bear the brunt of all that by placing all the emphasis on this school that is inevitably going to just get worse because it can't get better. They've already told us that there's no way to come out of what we're in. So I was at a different place in Sheikah, and my brokenness, I think, from that situation, because it wasn't just the newspaper, and my family rallied around me. Now, the reality was, this is my reality. So like, I'm going to have to dig in and figure out how to get out of this. But currently, this is the reality that I'm facing. So what I wanted to just kind of speak to on the other side of all this, because Taylor was instrumental in that and making sure that he was there to support and say, hey, you got this, you can do this. You don't even have to pay attention to what anybody else is saying. Who has defined you ever? And that was kind of his position on that. So it was almost at points where he was just kind of like, I don't even want to hear more about that. You already got this. Do what you got to do. I don't want to hear about that. But I want to just shout out the rest of this community that you've included in this conversation, because, I had some long days and long nights. And you know what? My mother-in-law made sure there was a hot meal. Like, my family was there, the extended family. I had friends who were there supporting what I needed to get done. So you do need that village to surround you when you're feeling at your lowest point. And then I'll just add to that, because coupled with life was also happening to me at that time. My brother was in the hospital fighting for his life. And so what I had to do was make some decisions on the spot. Like, I really had to take out that mirror, Josh, and look and see, like, what's really important. What is the most important thing here? Is the most important thing showing up in the newspaper, or is the most important thing the most important thing? And the most important thing happened to have been at that time, like forgetting about myself and focusing in on the reality of I could lose my brother. And so when the announcement was made, Principal Hurt, I know how you were feeling, like that anticipation of what in the world. This is all resting like on these scores. Now I've become minimized to, is this really what you think about me? And I think she could probably can attest to this. I was thankful to know, like, yeah, this is what you think, but this isn't how this is going to be, because what you don't understand is this. You think that I can't because you've decided that I can't, and this is what you've said is going to happen. But every time that was said to me, it gave me the motivation to lean into myself and say, oh yeah, nah, this isn't how this is going to go down. And now I have this extra thing that I'm fighting for. I've lost my brother. I've been humiliated on the front page of the newspaper. I'm fighting extra hard. So everybody who says that I can't, I am canceling that out with people who are saying, you got this. And that strength, that's a part of who I am as a Black woman, just kind of kicked into what needed to happen. Sheik and I kind of rallied around one another. And today, thankfully, there's a whole different end to that story than was predicted for us.
Her school went up 2 points from excellent in 1 year, and they said she couldn't do it. Mine went up 2 report card grade levels in 1 year. We were written off, told we could not do it. It was impossible.
And look at you now.
And until you walk in those shoes, you never know what those feelings are like. And listen, I got news for you out there. Just because you have the title as principal doesn't mean you don't have feelings. Okay, we're human beings. We're people, just like our educators, our teachers, people, our students, members of our learning community. And one of the things that come to me right away is you got to create psychological safety teams, psychological safety circles when you're with your administrative team, to be able to share anything that's going on and get that collateral support. And that same thing is for home. Your family's got to be around you in that capacity. That allows you that balance. And finding a way to turn off the switch and to be yourself when you leave is hard, especially when you're under fire. Okay, we are under fire each and every day, but we are human beings. We put our pants on one leg at a time like everybody else. But our job is to be better, bigger, stronger, and model by example all the time. So amazing stuff right here. And again, that's all part of leadership. And you've got to have that thick skin to be able to look in that mirror and say, listen, I can move forward, and I will take the people who are behind me and with me to another level.
I've been breaking news on the local news station. Tammy, I feel your pain. I've had a whole panel on the local newspaper because of one thing I did in lunch detention. And I chose to take over a campus like you ladies that was a low-performing campus, 97% Hispanic, next to the border. That whole immigration thing has always been going on in El Paso. I used to have 450 kids come over from Juarez to our school in taxis, in a caravan. They didn't know English. And those 3 years, that was the lowest rated performing school. And it's about those things that we chose to take on as leaders. All of us have turned around schools, and it was not easy. Every single last person here has dealt with high social economic issues. I had 86% lower socioeconomic, and it wasn't easy. Mine didn't know how to speak English or write English, but we transformed that school in 3 years, just like you, Tammy, in 3 years from a D- to a B-. That takes a lot of hard work with 2,650 kids and no one. And what my point is behind all those adversities that the mirror has faced is this. I need to determine what I bring to the table at home. I need to determine what my reaction is going to be to work. Do I bring toxicity to my family? Is it my job to bring in that cheerleading mom who yelled at the cheerleading coach for not being a flyer? Do I bring home that coach that cussed out the kid and was recorded on Facebook? At what point do I draw the line to where I understand what Hef is saying? Trust me, I've had a lot of issues with superintendents. I need to know where I draw the line as an administrator, as a person, as a father to my house. And so that's the ongoing. Someone said, I think Teresa said it, McKinney said, what we think healthy is. What Dean thinks healthy is, I might not think what that is. And we're both seasoned citizens. We both deal with stuff in a different way. I don't, but myself, I don't know about you all. I don't believe in bringing my poison to my house. I don't believe, I eat it. And by utility cheeks, I eat a lot. And so all I'm saying is one thing. You want to sit in the chair? You want to be an assistant principal? Know that you're not clean of not coming out in the paper. You're not clean of not coming out on social media threads. You're not clean of putting in long work and hours. And so you define yourself on how you create those relationships with the people at home, because even your toxicity can create the divorce.
I love it. I love it. Hey, y'all, listen here to the fam out there. We literally have 18 topics. We're not going to cover all 18, but we do. But I want to switch gears and go to a different topic. And this one was generated by Dr. Sheikah Houston. And I just want to read it, and then I'm going to turn it over to her. Women developing their leadership identities in a society that gravitates towards male leadership in many cases. I want to turn it over to you, Dr. Houston.
Okay, thank you, Principal Kafele. This came up as a topic for me because recently I was at a meeting or a conference with someone, and they were telling me about their district is in the search for a new superintendent, and she was a Black female, and she was telling me that they had started the search. I said, well, do you all have any good candidates? And she talked about some of the candidates, and she said, yeah, but, we prefer a male. And I said, well, wow, just out the gate, you haven't heard the other, the women who have applied, the interviews hadn't taken place. You just already know that that's your preference. And she said, yeah, because the woman who was superintendent before, she didn't do a good job. So, our preference is a male. And so, it's as a woman in leadership, when you hear things like that, it's disheartening. And she's not the only person. I looked up some statistics because I like statistics and stats. A Gallup poll, when people were asked whether or not they preferred a male or a female boss, men at 29% preferred a male boss. At 18%, men preferred a female boss, and then 51% of men said they had no preference. Smart men. And women, however, said that at 40%, they preferred a male boss, 27% preferred a female boss, and then 32% had no preference. So, as a woman in leadership, and I think when you hear things like this and when you're trying to develop your identity as a woman in leadership, I think when you hear things like this, sometimes that makes women think that in order to be perceived to be a good leader, I must conduct myself like a man in leadership. And the two, we're different. We lead differently. We do things differently. And I've heard Ayanna Van Zant speak a number of times on like women in leadership, and she refers to women sometimes being neck down dead or being men in skirts as far as their leadership is concerned because of that type of thinking. And I'm going to tell a story, and then I'm going to get to the questions, because I know you're like, where is she going with all of this? So as an assistant principal, I was pregnant with both of my daughters. They're 3 years apart, and the principalship came open at the school that I was an assistant principal at. And so a friend of mine who was pregnant had applied for a principalship. And I was like, how did it go? And, we were excited. And she said, they brought me in. They told me I didn't get the job because I was pregnant. And so I know everybody's thinking, what about all of these laws that they have that tell people you can't discriminate against people because they're pregnant? Well, this happened. So as an assistant principal, when the principalship at my school came open, I had that in the back of my mind. And I'm thinking, well, along with some other things, because I had some fertility issues as well. So I didn't want any added stress. I didn't apply because I was thinking, well, I'm not going to get the job anyway. They don't hire people when they're pregnant. So when I did decide that I could apply later, I did get the principalship. That's after I had my children. But, I don't think that people think about, how things like that take a impact on women when they're applying. So that was a thing that for me, I was nervous about. How are people going to perceive me in my leadership role as a woman, as a mom, with me being the primary caretaker a lot of times for my children? I didn't want to have that negative perception of me that I was like less than because I was a mom or because I wasn't a man. So it wasn't until I read an article about a lady who was an executive at a Fortune 500 company. She was a mom. She built a nursery onto her the establishment wherever she worked, inside of the place where she worked, for her children, so she could readily be able to access her children. Her children could spend time with her at work. So after that changed my whole perception. I was going to be her. I was, like my shirt says, I'm powerful. As a principal, I was going to have this nursery without that executive budget that she had in my office. So the back closet that I had in my room, in my office, I put down the little pads where my kids could play. I had toys in there where they could play. I had a big plush rug that people would stumble over to not step on it because they knew you can't step on Miss Houston's rug because that's where her kids play. Nobody could step on the rug for that reason. But my whole perception changed just after reading that article. So I said all of that to say, I think as women, we have to do a better job of telling our stories of how we move in leadership, because just that one story changed my whole thought process of how people would look at me. It was okay. It validated me for me to lead as a mom in my position and do what I needed to do to make sure I could still lead, but also still be a mom. So with that being said, what I wanted to know, and I could have just asked you all, do you think about differences that exist for women and men when you have a woman on your leadership team? But because I know all of you, I already know the answer to that question. So instead, I'm going to ask, what are things that you have learned from women in leadership? And do you think if more men talked openly about the things that they've learned from women in leadership, that maybe the opinions around gender preferences for leadership would change?
It's a powerful question. I'll am I off mute? Yeah. Here's my 2 cents to that. As a teacher, I never had a male principal. I don't know what that is. I've only had women. And so I'm not able to compare the 2 experiences, obviously. The only way I can compare is looking at dynamics of schools where there is a male principal, or even myself, versus what I experienced then. But here's what I want to say about that. I love working for these 2 women, right? One of them is still a good friend. After all these years, we're talking early 90s, and now here we are in 2024 almost, and we're still good friends. But the thing about it, as I've thought about this a long time, Sheikah, and she gave me so much leeway to be creative,
Hmm.
right? She was not threatened by me at all. And if I disagreed with her on anything, then I had the wherewithal as a young teacher to not disagree with her publicly. So I never disagreed with her in a staff meeting. I'd always talk to her privately, and she always heard me out. So I say that to say, I do know that had I had a male principal, and it depends on the male, because I don't want to paint with a broad brush, but some of that leeway and flexibility that I had, and with me being that I don't really see myself as an alpha male when I'm not wearing my Principal Kafele hat. When I'm wearing my Principal Kafele hat, I'm definitely an alpha male. When I'm Baruti Kafele, but when I was wearing that hat at work every day, I just feel that, and this is just a gut feeling, that I wouldn't have had the same flexibility and leeway and therefore the room for the creativity had I had a male principal back in that time. Because and one of the reasons I say that is because in applying for jobs, no male offered me a job, right? I was turned down by men. But women, on the other hand, and they were all much older than me, but women were embracing me with open arms, like, we need you. Because when we talk about the lack of Black men in schools, and particularly I'm an elementary teacher, that's not a new phenomenon. That phenomenon was there at the time. In fact, I was putting it in my applications. So, in my in my written statements. So yeah, I'm just looking at it that way. But on the flip side, and I'm gonna shut up in a second, I do read the posts that I see on social media a lot, where Black women are under attack on teacher pages, which I won't name any of them, but Black women under attack. And I could have said women, but I'm being very specific on this one. Black women being under attack from women and men for their leadership, right? So that's a discussion that needs to be had on a continual basis as to what that is and why that is, right? So, it's a great topic to continue to discuss.
When I first started my career in administration, I spent 3 years under the principal, who was a woman at the time. Although our leadership styles were different, our end goal was the same. And we could get to that end goal just by having an understanding of what the term leadership meant. There are no barriers when it comes to morals and work ethics and people skills and having a vision that's forward thinking. But one of the things I really took from this individual woman, who told me, because I'm a woman, I have to be a little more stern in the world that I'm in. And I have to really hold that bar up high. And I stopped and thought about that for a second. Even amidst the pushback she'd get from the community on decisions she made, she taught me the value of keeping that bar here, regardless of any noise that came with it. But one of the other things she could really do, and this is what I love about certain leaders, and there's no barriers for leadership. I say this anywhere I go, anybody can bring things to the table. But if you got the power to build capacity within people around you, you will be successful regardless of what your background is, what you're all about. And that's the people that I look most to be surround myself with.
Yeah. I think, Dr. Houston, I've had the privilege as a principal to sit under women that were superintendents, and also men that were superintendents. One thing that I noticed, and I think Dean Packer, you made a good point, like the women that were superintendents, they had to be 3 or 4 times better than the next person to be able to get into that role. That was the reality of it. That's a conversation that they would tell me one-on-one. So consequently, by them being 3 or 4 times better, they expected us as principals to really rise up to the top to be able to lead our schools, run our schools. So there were certain things that I was able to be taught by these women superintendents that really enhanced me as a leader, as an instructional person, because they was always everything had to be good, because if we look bad, that means she looked bad. Mm-hmm. She didn't want to look bad because she said, hey, I'm in this position. And then the other part is that as a principal, when I started to hire teachers and promote people from within and things of that nature, the women at my teachers or my coaches or my APs, they brought so much to the table for me. It made me look that much better. And I'll be the first one to say 99.9% of the ideas of how we had student achievement was based on the women that was in my building just being the best of the best, being great in what they were doing. And I think that needs to be acknowledged, that needs to be talked about, that needs to be praised. I know for a fact we don't do it enough. We just don't do it. And a lot of times the credit will go to the man, will go to a Sean Hurt, but we got to be like, no, these 5 or 6 women that's on the staff, they were the one that created this. They need to be promoted. They need to be the ones that need to be the next assistant soup or superintendent or whatever it may be.
You know, all I'll say is this: a good leader is an awesome leader. A horrible person is a horrible person. We've all had those horrible leaders. Gender has nothing to do with it. It's a people thing. If you don't know how to lead, you suck. I'm sorry. You shouldn't be a leader. All right. If you're a good person, you promote people, you encourage people. I am not sitting in my chair right now as this elderly statesman without my mom getting me into education, Lynn Muscle opening the door for me as an assistant principal, Millie Williams, the strongest African-American woman I've ever met in my life, forcing me to go to school and get my master's. She forced me. She manipulated the master schedule so that I become an administrator. Tell me she didn't go to bat for me. Tell me. And she was she had the best scores. She had the best scores in the district for algebra in 8th grade. And Carmen Crozet, who was the only one that allowed me, opened the door to be a principal. If not, I would have never been a principal without her opening the door. All the women in my life have allowed me to be who I am. Again, if you're a jerk, you're a jerk. If you're a great leader, you're a great leader, and you see talent and you promote that talent. Don't bring up gender. Shame on you.
I agree, Josh. I think you're right. And I have learned things from both male and female leaders. And I think we all probably have. But for some reason, like those Gallup poll statistics, it seems like women sometimes are the hardest people on other women in leadership. So I hope as we continue to share the positive things that we have experienced under women in leadership, I hope that that narrative starts to change.
I think a part of that too, though, is in the identity piece, and I'm glad that that was kind of the way that you phrased the topic that you were going to approach it, from us understanding our leadership identities, because I think what happens, and sometimes how this gets convoluted, is we don't understand our identities, our self identities. Like we don't know how to be authentic to who we are. So we are trying to live up to an image possibly that someone else has about what leadership is supposed to look like, when that might not be what the reality is for me. I can say as a student, and this is sad to say, but it's the truth, I never had a female principal. In all my years matriculating through school, I didn't have a female principal. So that says something in and of itself for where I am and what the belief obviously was about women in leadership, because there were some amazing women. And I saw a lot of those women in assistant principalships eventually. As an educator, I've worked for Black men principals, I've worked for white men principals, Black female principals, white female principals. And I think Josh is correct. When you are providing strong, impactful, good leadership, it really didn't matter for me, because I've been able to learn and sit at the feet of all those folks and take something away from it. But I think the thing that I take away and I have the most to say about my personal identity is the fact that when I go into a room and I'm talking to folks that are in that room, and I know I have a right to be there, I'm there because not just my credentials allow me to be there, but I'm here because I'm here on this mission, then I don't have to handle that the way that I think my Black brother would handle being in that same space. I go to that space as Tammy, And what I have to do is I have to be able to navigate that process so that people can learn to respect and appreciate Tammy as the leader of whatever it is I'm leading, so that people recognize I know who I am and I command the respect that comes with being where I am at this moment.
I love that. And then the question that was popping in my head as you were speaking was, does that leader understand the need to surround herself with support, right? Other people who are in the same roles, other Black women or other women, depending on the dynamics, who are in comparable roles and therefore have comparable struggles, right? Do I have that person that I can interact with, that I can engage with, that I can vent with, and then strategize with, toward making life a little bit easier within the position? Because if we're gonna lead in these silos in isolation, and go through all the trials and tribulations that we go through in leadership, but we don't have someone to bounce this stuff off of, right? Then it makes it that much more challenging.
And Principal Kafele, if I may, I just want to go back to another thing, because I want to also speak to this. And Shika, you can tell me your thoughts, but I want to speak to this from a different perspective, because the flip side sometimes of this coin also comes into conversation, because sometimes women are trying so hard to be to do the thing they think a man would do in this situation, so that they don't lose respect for showing vulnerability or for seeming weak. There are also times when a woman will shrink, especially an African American woman will shrink. She'll shrink to appear less intimidating, so that she's not perceived as being this powerful leader, because she doesn't want people to give her to name her these things that she really doesn't want to be associated with. So it's a very fine line when you find that balance of, how does this work? Like, in the best way for me to, in my personal opinion and experiences, has been just to be me. And that's why you always hear me talk about authenticity. Like, when you see me, what you see is what you get. That's not, sometimes this is Tammy and sometimes she's this Tammy. What you see is what you get. And because of that, I think people learn to respect the fact that, okay, well, when she's coming at me, she's coming straight.
Yeah, I love that. I feel the same way about me. I gotta be me. I can't, as I say all the time, I can't fake the funk and transition in and out of my authenticity. I gotta just be me. That's and that will allow me to epitomize happiness internally.
That's right.
As it relates to myself. There's so much more we could say, but I want to get to some of these other topics too. So I want to go to Josh. Let me get this on the screen. And Josh asked the question, or made the statement, how to survive when you leave your existing district to a new one. And before you go, Josh, let me just say this one thing to set the stage. There could be somebody on the call. There could be many on the call right now. And in your mind, I'm staying here forever. I was born in this town. I was back to this town. I'm not leaving. I'm staying here. And you may feel that way right now, but those politics shift, right? That new superintendent comes in, that board changes, right? That parent that you didn't have 5 years ago is now one of the parents there, and things change, and sometimes life becomes unfamiliar, right? In terms of you being in that position. So I'm not going to take away Josh's topic, but I just wanted to set that stage because I lived that life. I know something about that. So Josh, take it over.
Yeah, Jefe, and just like you said, this is my 30 plus year. I've been in 3 districts, 2 cities, 13 schools, from elementary all the way to college. 1 university, 2 universities, 1 college. So those are different dynamics than elementary, middle school, and high school. And every time that you're in one specific area, you get used to what that climate is, what that culture is. But then sometimes those doors don't open. And hey, and listen, even before COVID, if you're an effective coach and an effective teacher, you know there was free agency. You know there were principals out there saying, come over here, come over here. You know that's true. Call me a liar, somebody out there. And so if you're good, there's free agency in teaching. And so if you have those doors open, which allowed for me to move around and see elementary, middle school, and high school, different types of leadership, different mentalities. But then you lose that. You lose that connection of that knowledge that you had at that sphere. When you move districts, oh, Lord, oh, you're not from this district. Oh, you're from the neighboring district. We don't talk to you. You're not one of us. Call me a liar. Call me a liar, somebody. Call me a liar. Oh, we don't talk to you because you know what? You were not brought up in this system. If you're an adjunct professor, with a tenured people, we don't talk to adjunct people. You know, that's kind of like 6th grade teachers talking to kindergarten teachers. That's kind of like 8th grade teachers talking to 6th grade teachers. Or how about that senior English 4 AP teacher talking to that freshman English teacher? There is a mentality to that.
Yeah.
So, hey, administrator out there, hey, team, Fantastic Four, how can a brand new educator that just got hired in Iowa that's going to a new district survive? Coach Hurt.
Well, I think Noah, it's funny that you said free agency because free agency is real. I think that free agency is real, but also with that, sometimes we could be in a district and they might not see us as that principal, assistant principal, because they've seen us as Sean Hurt, the 21-year-old first-year teacher coming out of college. And for me, that was big for me. I'm like, man, I want to grow. But it was nothing in my district that allowed me. So I had to literally leave out of my district. And when I brought to this other district, they loved it so much. They said, man, we didn't have someone that brought this type of skill set. So to answer your question is that you just got to bring your skill set to that district. Whatever your skill set is, that district will love you. And sometimes, and then I say this all of the time, sometimes your current district might not look at you in the same light as this new district. I'm gonna say this again. That current district, you might be saying, hey, they might not look at you in the same light as that district or that different state that's going to say, man, you're bringing all this to the table. We need to make you the principal. We need to make you the assistant superintendent because you're bringing so much to this table. And that's a word for somebody.
And Josh, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm not gonna fake the funk. Now, I grew up in this district. I've worked in this district. I have not been in any other districts. So, and I'm in a small town. So that what you talked about, that outsider mentality, that is very real and that does exist. What I will say though is that when people come and show that they are genuinely for the children, and because we're in a small rural area, sometimes the thinking is to snub your nose down, to look down on the community, the children, and the people. So now, if you make the mistake and do that, you're going to have a hard time. But if you're coming in and you're showing that you are genuinely for children and your passion and your motivation is to be student centered, I'm all for that. I can follow that all day long, 365.
And I believe you there, Shika, because you're a proud South Carolina Gamecock.
Oh, that's a dig, Josh. I will go next, Principal Kafele. Because like Shika, I grew up in the district that I am currently working in. I didn't grow up in the community. So that has added a different flavor for me to being a part of the same district that I've always worked in. And I'll say this, because there is some, both ways, I think you have to be careful about the way you approach that, because I think that I feel like, as Principal Kafele did his monologue this morning, and he was talking about that mission, I sometimes interchange the word mission with ministry, because I feel like I am on an assignment, and I'm that person. Like, when the assignment is up, I'm not married to having to stay. Like, I'll go to the next thing. And so I've noticed, though, that in some instances, that isn't the case. And some people think that if you have settled for working in the same district, that somehow lessens who you are in the eyes of the world, and what is considered to be so all-consuming and all-wise. But I think that we have to always be mindful, and it's a scripture that says that God takes the foolish things to confound the wise. And I think I saw in the comments that the sometimes the prophet is without honor in their own country. So you can have that a lot of different ways. You can look at that differently, or you can look at it and this is how I look at things. No, I'm not serving in the immediate community where I grew up, but I give everything that I have to the children that I serve. And I think that because I would take that to any district, I would hope that that would be the door opener for me, as Principal Hurt said before, and they would see the talent that I bring and the passion that I bring for the work that I do, so that they could understand, hey, we've found ourselves a good person to join the team.
So we're hearing a common theme. Hey, educator out there, if you're welcoming somebody new from another district, be cool, be nice. Go to them, make them feel comfortable. Make sure that you say, hey, come and sit with us. It's those little things that we ask kids to do for other kids that, you know what, shockingly, we don't do it as adults. Dean Packard.
Hey, kindness does matter here. And, and I'm going to circle back to the beginning of this show when it was said that, is it a job or a mission? If you leave a district, think about it for a second, 30 years from me, 20 plus as a leader, for me to leave and go to another district right now is a very tough thing to do. But now I'm at the place where I graduated from high school from. So I have taken all the things that I've learned and bringing them with me. We're all, like I said before, we're all human beings. We all make mistakes. But if you have the capacity to listen, to absorb, and then to help build others' capacity around you, great things are going to happen. And I'm going to stop with this. If you love what you do and do what you love, you never have to worry about a damn thing in life, okay? This business is open to be a difference maker for everybody in front of you. A teacher every single day has an opportunity to change the trajectory of a life of a student by the words they choose and the relationships that they create. I'm going to say that again. Kids don't care about how much you know until they know how much you, what, Josh Tobar? Care. And I don't care if that's leadership. I don't care if that's in the classroom. We're all coaches of life. And then content comes second. Love what you do what you love, back away. You don't have to worry about anything else.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Anybody else want to jump in before I switch topics? I'll say this then real quick. Everything you all said, I sat here with an internal smile because I wasn't that guy. I knew better, but I chose not to be that guy. So I switched districts, and my reasons for switching districts was ego. It wasn't necessity. I was fine. We were doing quite well. And we were doing so well, the competitor in me said, well, let's go to another part of New Jersey and replicate what I had done in East Orange, which is where I'm from. So I go down there as a rabble rouser. I went down there with a whole lot of fanfare. As soon as I got there, the local newspaper did a story on me, and from there I was just loud. I was 43 years old, I think, and I was just loud. I was arrogant, and which I can admit I have no problem with. And it drew a lot of attention to me, attention that was, you know, in terms of community, like, wow, we're ready for this guy. And I'm not the superintendent, I'm just the principal of the school. But then there was another element out there that, like, who the heck does he think he is? Right. And that's inclusive of central office. So I'm fighting and I'm fighting and I'm fighting. And the newspapers are loving it. So I was in the papers. I only stayed there that 1 year. I had to get out of town and go back home. So that 1 year, I was in the newspapers 21 times. Editorials, op-eds, statements I was making that drew the headlines, and just all sorts of stuff. And I don't look back on those days with regret, but there's no way in the world I would tell somebody replicate what I did, because that's not just, it's not the way to go. But that was young, brash me at that time, and that's, you know, that's just the way I went down there. And they probably need to make a movie about it one day, because it was an interesting time in my life, to say the least. But let me go to another one.
Principal Kafele, Dean wants to talk to you.
I'd love to hear the story of the early stages of your principalship, and then as you became, and with years of experience, how you became humbled and understanding and learned to allow the growth to happen and allow yourself to have grace. I mean, that's within all of us as leaders. Because when we first come out of the gate, we're like bulls in a china closet. You know, I can do this, I'm going to do that. And then you learn to delegate, you learn to grow, you learn to build capacity, and you see the whole light of our job as a servant leader in a whole different role. And I don't think there's anybody on this call that could disagree with something like that.
Well, you know something, Dean, 2024 marks the 20th anniversary of those years, and with a particular emphasis on 24 versus 2004. So the plan, the intent, want to get a film crew together, and I just want to tell the whole story. And do something big, because it was big, and people in this area where I am, New York, New Jersey, New York area, a lot of people are familiar with it, you know, because of all the media attention that it got that year, and then coming back home, and then what I was telling you about that all that turmoil, the suspension, the headlines, all that stuff, the television, the radio, all that. So I want to get a film crew together, and they just sit down and just let me tell the story.
You're better today because of that, though. You're better today.
Yeah, better today
because you work through all of that.
Better today, and I think that there's so many lessons in my mistakes, and that's why I want to document it all through film. So we gonna do that for sure. Let me go to let me go to Dean, and let me just get this one up here, Dean. I didn't prepare myself. Here it is. Here we go. So you had one called Creating Alternatives Other Than Suspension, and I think we're all grappling with that. Talk to us.
Yeah, not an issue here. I mean, you know, as leaders, we try to look at children, because children make choices each and every day, and you know, creating buy-in for them and why their school is that school or that place is one of the most difficult things that we all kind of wrap our heads around. You know, you don't want to be that school that has multiple suspensions because we can. I always say to kids, you know, the decision you make, choices you make today will have a positive or negative effect in your life moving forward. But we deal with a lot of environmental issues. We deal with things that we can't control when kids come into our school. So we have to step back and put a whole disciplined team together and start thinking about ways to help kids understand the magnitude of their choices. You know, the big buzzword now is restorative circles. How can we help kids understand the choices that they're making? And that's all well and good. But if you don't have sustainability within that, it becomes an exercise in futility as far as I'm concerned, okay? Because it takes follow through, and it takes commitment to help kids understand their purpose and their why when they walk through your doors. And that's what they say, when you have a learning community around you, how important that is. So I measure now, and I know what we did a long time ago, and I know the suspensions. You did this, boom, you're going out the door, you're not coming back. Oh my gosh. But our job is to keep kids in school. Our job is to keep them off the streets. Our job is to keep them off video games. Our job is to help them understand the importance of learning. And learning doesn't have to be just in a math or a history or ELA classroom. It's learning about life. and how our choices are representative of our trajectory forward. So again, I'm fortunate. I have a great team of people around me that are getting that. There are a lot of modules that can be utilized at this point in time to help them work through their decision making. But then that still starts building personal capacity. And then they start thinking differently about themselves. So I'd like to throw it out there to you guys. One thing you're doing differently in your school right now that would help deter kids from making those poor choices, not allowing them to be representative of themselves. Josh Tobar, you're first.
I'd rather spend my weekend writing cards for kids. I'd rather spend my weekend or weeknights writing birthday cards for kids than dealing with one girl fight. One girl fight will last 6 hours. Hey, call me a liar. How long do those girls? Guys, they're chicken. Guys don't want to fight. Guys don't want to fight. Girls, when girls want to fight, talk to me. Coach Hurt, talk to me. Don't when girls want to fight. When you see this going, get out of here. It's done. So I rather create a culture of positivity, a culture of being proactive. So whenever Josh is starting to be a knucklehead, send Josh to the administration as a proactive measure, not as a discipline issue. So I tell our team members, if you see Josh being a knucklehead, just percolating, send him to me. Let me redirect the behavior at that moment. Then he explodes or she explodes, and then becomes a referral, becomes a suspension, becomes whatever. So be proactive with the behavior. Whenever I get those names, I also make sure that I send it to our counselors. Our counselors create groups, and they have groups to talk about those kind of, well, why did you want to do this? Why didn't you turn in your homework? Is it a language thing? Is it an understanding thing? Or is it an SEL thing at home? So you break down those issues using your counselors, using administration in a positive way. All I could present to you is this. Since I arrived at Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, we've had less than 10 physical fights. Less than 10 in 3 years?
Wow.
We don't have fights there. We don't. Do we have kids that make wrong choices? Yes. I've got a kid that was dealing with cows in Guatemala the last 5 years, and you want him to learn A squared plus B squared equals C squared? No, that kid is fight, flight, or freeze. Brain research. So what are we doing to connect with the kids? It's about connecting. You don't connect with me, I will not content with you. Mm-hmm. Then you do those proactive things and show them that your campus is the linus blanket that they feel comfortable. Because if you don't spend the time on the positivity, I can guarantee you, you will spend the time on the toxicity.
Boom. Sean.
No, what Principal Kafele talked about it earlier. Is your school set up for success? So as a building principal, one thing I had to do is that before the kids came into the school, is my school set up to address the needs of the kids that's coming into my school? And then I talk about it, the hallways, the classroom setup, how is my PBIS program? What do we have in place that we're going to be proactive? So if something happens, we're right there on the spot and it won't lead to a fight. The other thing is that, and then I'll talk about it, I am a firm believer that the principal, the instructional leader, needs to spend 60% or more of their time in the classroom, in the hallways with the kids. Why is that important, educators? Because when you're in the mix, when you're right there, you can see everything. You can see, okay, because the fights usually happen in the bathrooms, hallways, lunchroom, before school, after school, on the bus. That's when 95% of the fights take place. Well, if I know that, I need to have systems. I need to have people in place to be able to address those needs. And even with that, if I'm in a classroom, I'm seeing, okay, is that instruction correctly responsive to the kids, or is it a boring classroom? Well, if I'm in a boring classroom, then that means I'm gonna throw the pencil. I'm gonna say something to such and such. I'm gonna do all of these things. That's not positive to the learning environment. But it starts back to, is my school set up for success? If your school's not set up for success, that's when you're gonna get all of these problems. That's when you're gonna get chaos. That's when the school's gonna be off the hook. So going back to your question, let's set up our school for success, principals, superintendents, APs, coaches, so forth and so on.
Systems of success, student support teams that are airtight. I absolutely love that. Tammy,
Yes.
you're up.
Love it, love it. And I love the support teams because that's a part of the work that's happening in our school as well. And one thing that we've done, and I think is becoming a bigger deterrent than anything that I've seen since I've been there, are we've added a component to our restorative conversations that includes parents. And so, especially if a student is continuously doing the same sort of thing, then there is no question your parent's going to be a part of this conversation that we have to restore you back to where you need to be. Because what we've all agreed upon is children cannot learn without a teacher. And if you are not at school, you cannot be taught. So one thing that we are making, and it takes a lot of work. Like for me, some days I am in meetings back to back all day because the kids will try to see, well, how long can she wait us out? Like, is she gonna be able to manage this? But you know what? I have a lineup. It's 4 in the office waiting, and I'm in the conference room with 2 others, and I'm waiting on 3 parents to call me back to set up something. But what we do is we come together and we talk about this. If it's a chronic behavior, we talk about it from a chronic behavior perspective. Like what is creating this sense of chaos that you cannot seem to pull yourself together? Because we just had a conversation about this last weekend. Here we are facing this same set of bad choices again. And so we spend a lot of time in those conversations, giving them options like what could you have done differently with the parents present? Because what that has also done for us, Dean, and this is one of the things that I love the most, is bridging that gap. Because when you leave the interpretation up to the parent to decide what happened based on the note that you sent home and the version of that story that the child is telling, you're not there. So you are the one who usually is going to come out on the losing end. So we all talk through this together before I ever give them any kind of documentation, so that I now have parents looking at their children saying, what is wrong with you? Dr. Taylor just had you in here last week. No, I'll take them home. I was, no, I'll just, if you don't mind, I'd like for them to stay so that we can make sure that they are in a situation where they can learn. But it is strengthening that homeschool connection to put us all on the same page so that children know, okay, I am not going to be able to get away with some of the shenanigans that I have been able to get away with in the past, because we haven't all been on the same page. And I'm not ashamed to say that although we had systems in place, they were not strong in that the system was there, but the flaw was in the interpretation, because the interpretation was still being left to the child's version of what happened versus my account of what happened, or the teacher's account, or whatever that was. And the disconnect was bringing the parent into that immediately so that we're all on the same page from the very beginning.
You know, you can have a complete show about how to have those conversations with parents to get them to buy-in, understanding. And it takes a polished leader to be able to do that. My gosh. Shaka, you're up.
All right, Dean, you know, MTSS is my thing. The 2 questions that I always ask for leaders. Number 1, children don't want to leave schools that they love. What have you done in your school to make sure that your school is a place that children want to be? They're upset if they're not there. And then we have the same thing for teachers. What teacher are you doing to make sure that your classroom is a place that children are racing to get to instead of being late to every day? What is it about your class that's making them want to stay in the class instead of being outside of that classroom? What have you done with your culture to set up that environment? And I have some things too to help guide that process on getting that culture to where it needs to be for the school and for the classroom. And then a lot of times we focus a lot on restoration, but before you can restore, you have to teach. We do a lot of reteaching for academics. You don't really hear a lot about behavior. Have you set aside time to make sure children understand what the expectations are? And have you taught them how to behave? When they have done something wrong, have you gone back to reteach what they need, what needs to be happening at your school? So we, at the secondary level, this is one of the things I struggle with people with, making sure we're setting aside time, not just for academics, but for behavior. We have to focus on the behaviors. Do the children know what they are? Or did we just hit them the first day of school and said, well, everybody knows how to act. You've been in school for 9 years. You know what to do. I'm not going to keep telling you. You have to continue to revisit it.
For sure. And that's cool, Shika, because in addition to revisiting just the expectations, you also, like I was talking about, helping them to, when your restorative conversations are surrounding choices and like, was this the best thing you could have done? Making sure that you're teaching that during those conversations. Like, yes, this might not be what you would have done at home to handle this situation. And I get it. This might not be what your mom tells you to do when this kind of thing is what you are faced with. But at school, here's how you have to handle that. Or then we have to face some different type of consequence for what now is an action.
And there's this wise man that I know. I'm sorry, Coach. Go ahead, Coach.
No, go ahead, and I'll just go after you.
Guys, there's this wise man that I know that always reminds us that if we sit in this chair, we got to talk to our school every day and set the expectations. Mm-hmm. If you don't talk to your school every day, now this guy that I know that's very wise did it twice. I can't do it twice. I could only do it in the morning. If you don't talk to your school every day, setting the tone and the expectations, shame on you, because then they're going to live up to what their expectations are at that moment. But if you set out the message from the morning, and if you got the wherewithal to do it at the end of the day, then you know what? Kids will live up to that standard, not to the standard of the moment that leads to fights, vaping in the bathroom, the TikTok challenges.
Mm-hmm. No, what? It's funny because Dr. Houston, you made in everything, everybody's saying some good stuff. So the students have been off for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. They're coming back. When I was a principal, we took that first 2 days to reteach behavior. You know, because you have to reteach those behaviors. How we walk in the hallway, mm-hmm. how we sit, how do we enter the classroom, how we in lunchtime, because they've been for 2 weeks been at home chilling, waking up when they want to wake up, do what they want to do, and whatever else. So now we have to reteach that. The other part is that we have to understand, and Josh Tarver, you made a good point. Those morning announcements, when those kids come in, the principal, the instructional leader has to get on that morning announcements 2 minutes to 3 minutes and set the tone for the day. You got to do that. You have to set the tone. And the other thing, this is because I'm very passionate about this. The other thing is that you know who your frequent flyers are. You know that as a principal. So what I did when I was on Fridays, because we got out at 3 o'clock, and I know about 1:50, 2 o'clock, they ready. So I will have all of my boys in our library, and we will watch Principal Kafele's morning messages. Well, you had about 200 of those things, right?
Yeah.
Students. Yeah. I didn't have money for all of this other stuff. We had to find something free that my boys can watch and be able to talk to, and A, that kept them from doing something stupid, because I know that they was ready, and B, they was able to understand what it meant to pull up their pants, what it meant to be respectful, and the teachers loved it, and I saw them getting better. But we have things in place, being proactive. We have things in place to address the needs of our students, and I'm gonna stop right there. But those 3 things, hey, put Put them in place when you get back to school, principals, if you don't have those things in place.
Yeah, and let me step in. I just want to address this real quick too, but we still got Tammy and Sean, and I guess it'll just be one each, and then we'll reschedule the follow up, right? But let me just say this one piece. First, appreciate you mentioning message to your son, Sean. Message to your son / message to the youth. That was for those that don't know, it's sitting on my YouTube channel called Principal Kafele. And it's about 225 videos where I'm just talking to the young people. It started off talking to young men. And then everybody kept asking me, when you going to do the ones for the girls? So then we just called it message to the youth instead of just message to your son. So you can go to YouTube, type in Principal Kafele. That channel will come up. They're still sitting there. You'll notice I look a lot younger on most of them, but I haven't done many lately. But let me say this. Let me say this to you. And this was just my style. And you just mentioned it, Josh. Every morning, I'm coming strong with that morning message, right? Because that's my opportunity. Matter of fact, let me just give you this backdrop. In the world of sports, and I'll pick on football since we're in the getting into the best part of the season now. You got a head coach, but then you got a defensive coordinator, you got an offensive coordinator, you got line coaches, defensive back coaches, running back coaches, quarterback coaches. You got all these coaches, so all these assistant coaches, receivers coaches, etc. I can go on and on. But that head coach does not stop coaching because he or she, in this case, he has assistant coaches. This person still coaches. So I decided, because of my background in sports and my love of sports, that I still have to coach, even though I've got all these assistants throughout the building, meaning my staff, not just my teaching staff. So hence, that morning message meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to that school. And then that closing message that Josh referenced, before that bell rings, I got, if school ended at 3, 2:55 is mine, right? So I need that last 5 minutes to say what I got to say as my parting words. But then every month, first day of the month was my principal's meeting. So that's that assembly where it's not, nothing going on except I got something to say to my school. So we created a culture where the school is extremely attentive to listening to their principal with an update on where we are. And that was the whole intent. Okay, here's where we are in terms of the vision of where we're going. So I may have bar graphs up. I may have some kind of PowerPoint, or it might be just me and the mic, whatever it is. But every first day of the month, we're going to the auditorium or we're going to the gym because I have something to say. In other words, I'm the head coach now. The teacher is in the classroom doing his and her thing each day, but the head coach got to speak. And you go to church, you got everything that leads up to the sermon. So different people have different responsibilities in the church in terms of what phase of the service that we're in. But then once all that's over, the pastor steps to the podium, right? And now we got that culminating message. And when that message is over, now we leave to serve, right? So I'm saying here, I took both the preacher and the head coach of the athletic team and said, I need to lead my school that way because I need to be coaching as well. So the way it ties into the topic here, creating alternatives other than suspension, that was a major alternative for me because I have the attention of the young people being proactive, letting them know what my expectations are, what our expectations are, but it wasn't a disciplined message. And I got to stress that. Because as we're stressing everything outside of discipline, the discipline is taking care of itself, right? So did I mention discipline? Yes, of course. But it wasn't a discipline message, right? So with that said.
Hey, Jefe, just real quick, just give me 30 seconds. Hey, I used some of my Title I money at my former school, and I brought in Jefe to our school. Yeah. And I knew nothing bothers me, nothing rattles me that much, all right? But I knew he was going to listen to my morning announcements.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, he's coming in. And thank God that we won the previous night. So I start off the day with celebration, and then I was like, all right. He's looking at me. And he took out his phone. and he starts recording me. Nothing gets me, but I got the man recording me during my morning announcements. And when he started recording me, nodding his head, I go, all right, I'm on fire. There we go. I passed the Kafele test. All right.
Oh man, that's a good memory too, man. That's a good memory. I'm gonna go to where we at here. I'm gonna go to Tammy, and then we Sean close us out. Why Tammy said why we can't settle. Our students and families are depending upon us. What are you telling us, Tammy?
And I think that this probably will be a quick conversation because most of what we talked about today goes back to that mission that we find ourselves on and just being committed to the cause that we've signed on for. But in preparing Principal Kafele, I was just really thinking about how leadership can be so overwhelming, and we've talked a lot about that. And when you have exceptional leaders, they make it seem so effortless. So you don't even know that it is this demanding monstrosity of a thing until you're living it. And then when you're in that space, and I think Dean said that before, you really just are faced with the reality of this is a part of what I signed on for. But what I was thinking was, even though we all know if you are associated in any way with leadership, that it's a complex task that is set before us, and we're responsible for managing an entire team of educators and supporting them and supporting our kids. And the expectation is the same whether you're leading a staff of 50 or if you're leaving a staff of 500. You still have to give the same amount of care and concern to the folks that you're leading. You've got parents and kids, and you've got all of those sanctions that come with improvement if you're facing and you're in that arena of things. You've got the accountability systems. It's so much that comes at us that it causes sometimes us to get weary and you want to faint. But what I wanted to just say was, I think I want to speak to that from what I call progress-driven leadership. And that's what you want. You want progress for your students. You want your school to be successful. So you can't settle. You can't just go with the flow and, oh, if this is the hand that I've been dealt, this is how I'm going to deal with it. What you have to do is you have to go in there and set up structures, and you have to put things in place that allow for you to create a success plan. And it's just like you were talking about that coaching plan, Principal Kafele, you've got to have your game plan for the actions that you're going to use. So I was just thinking from this perspective that when you are a progress-driven leader, that type of leadership keeps us striving towards the progress and never giving up, never being willing to settle. And so I think that I just was going to throw out a couple things for us kind of to toss around and to debate, because there's a few things that I think that represents, and I was going to get you guys to add to the list. But I felt like progress-driven leaders help their staff and students to find personal meaning in the work that we do so that everybody's committed. And that fosters a deeper commitment to excellence in everything that we do in that setting. But those leaders also create a culture and climate of trust and appreciation. And we're in it to win it because we won't settle. So I wanted you guys just to kind of toss that around with me, give us, add to that list for people who are taking notes. I don't know about y'all, but I'm taking notes this whole time. I was trying, I'm not like versed with Sheikah I can make a comment and then I forget about the comments because I'm trying to take notes over here. But give us something to add to these notes of what a progress-driven leader works towards. And then for all of you guys who are on with us today, that gives you something to take back next week when you go back in there and it's time to hit that reset button and you're getting your teachers motivated to get through to the end of the year. Here's something that you can draw from too, knowing this is why I can't settle. This is why I will not let this be the way that things end for me. Even if the first semester didn't go well, now's the time to do the resetting.
I love it. Before someone jumps in, before you jump in, Dean, real quick, while we got all these people on, I've noticed in the thread that there are people asking us for part 2, right? And I'm just gonna make it public, y'all. What I told you in the thread, we're in preliminary talks of taking this on the road, right? So in other words, what I have conceptualized is that we're coming to a city near you. But this is very preliminary right now, so don't hit me up like when you coming to Baltimore, right? When you it's just an idea that I have, that the 6 of us will go to different parts of the country with the hope that you all will come out, and we will do 2-day sessions, right? Probably more so in summer than school, because all of us are not free during the school year for 2 days, but 2 days where, you'd have the 6 of us in a room with you all, and we let it rip, and dialogue and all that. So that's all. To Sheriff Smith King said, Birmingham, Alabama, welcome. So we're ready. Yeah, right. I just want to put it out there while the numbers are still big like that. So yeah, my wife says she's coming too. Yeah, so I put it out there in the universe, y'all, but we ain't there yet. Just be patient, because I think that would be a great thing. All right, Dean, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just very quickly, eliminate the status quo. Stop for a second. Step out of that circle. Dream about what can happen. Think about that future of tomorrow. And remember, everything we do is about betterment for kids. Simple. Hit the reset button. Be a better version of you. Be the authentic you. And make sure you put a smile on your face and enjoy that opportunity.
I love it, Dean. And as a leader, I know that all of us that are on here, the people tuning in, us, we have that fire and that drive and that passion and that mission, but we also know multiple people who are sitting on status quo. And I think it's our jobs too, to make sure that we're calling that out. You got to have some stuff in the tank, like Principal Kafele says. You can't just start calling people out and you don't have that relationship with them. But invite them to platforms like this. Put that book in their hands to say, hey, I want to relight your fire, because it happens to people. But I think that we have to also have the responsibility to where, when people are not at the level where they're doing things right for children, call it out.
And to piggyback on that, Chica, exactly. I was that kid. I was that immigrant that didn't know English, that misbehaved because I didn't know English. I was that kid of divorce in high school that ditched 30 times out of the semester, got drunk every single last day. And those were the people that looked down on me. Those are the people that call me losers. Has that changed right now? No. They still look down on some of our kids because we don't fall within their 1980s factory style. So all I do is, when it comes down to this, is this for me. I know kids like me because I was that kid. And number 2, I think of a man that I will never forget, that reminds me of not only my past, but also Dexter Manley. If you don't know Dexter Manley, all I will finish is with this: no more orange jumpsuits, no more pipeline. Because if we don't educate them right now, when they're within our sphere of influence, they're going to be more expensive wearing an orange jumpsuit. We need to educate our kids. We need to put them on track, and that starts by caring and showing that we love them, especially now with this stuff right here that creates more pandemonium for us. But in the end, remember, they're somebody's kids, and they're giving us the best they got.
Sure, that's right.
Good stuff. We good to go to the last one? Let me go there. Now I'm almost. We all gave in 3, and there's this one. I know I shouldn't put it up here because it could take a while, but in terms of several of us, but I'm gonna take a chance, Sean, on this one. What does it take to become an entrepreneur? And the reason I would take a chance on it, because I know, just based on my life's experiences, that there are people out here who want to dabble into the consulting world, the speaking world, and you don't know what steps to take, and you reach out to many of us and ask us, and we give you little something, but we don't give you the full story. And I know we don't have time for that. Each of these topics could have been just one session, right? But let's talk a little bit, and somebody make sure you get your pen out and get these nuggets, because you got some people on here that's doing this work. So Sean, it's on you.
You know what? The reason why I brought that up is because as a principal teacher for about 18 years, I met you, Principal Kafele. You came to my building, I met you, and I never, ever in my life saw a Black man that was an entrepreneur in education. Never, ever saw in 18 years. So when I saw you, I said, I can become that, because I actually saw you. I touched you. You spoke to me. You spent time with me. So then from there, the last 2.5 years, I've been doing entrepreneurship full time. Stepped away from the principal position, been doing full time, traveling around the world, speaking the gospel. Want to transform schools all over the world. But then I said, no, what? There's thousands of people out there that would like to move into this world. They want to know, okay, do I need money? What do I need to do in order to really function? In order to be able to pay my bills, in order to be able to get insurance that I might not have from school, in order to, fly in, fly out, in order to write the books. What does that look like? How do I start that when I haven't done it? So that's why I said I want to just kind of put it out there, and let's go ahead and just jump into that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just going to say something real brief, and I'm going to turn it back over to you, and Sheikah and Tammy also do this work. Josh, I've been trying to encourage to do this work, and he'll get to it. But here's the thing: I wrote a post the other day, and I don't even remember everything I wrote, because there's so many things in my head about leadership, about entrepreneurship. But I probably should pull it up. But one of the things I do remember that I said was that you gotta blog, y'all. You gotta write blog posts, right? You gotta do that, because if you're going to build a base, which ultimately becomes a clientele and people that just support your work, they've got to know you exist. There's a lot of folks that have a lot of great information out there, but no one knows they exist, or a very small amount of people know that they exist. So you gotta use this gift that we have called social media, because that's what it is. It's a gift. Yeah. The entertainers of the world, your athletes of the world, they have learned to master this, and a lot of them are making more money than they were making at their craft, right? Some of them are bigger. Like, I'll just call a name. Shannon Sharp is bigger now, I think, than he was when he played football, right? Exactly. And he's a Hall of Famer because he's figured out this thing called social media. He's on First Take, but he doesn't need it. He really doesn't need it, right? So he's figured out this thing called social media. So if there's someone out there that wants to go in this direction, we're not going to do the whole seminar on here. We just dropping a couple of dimes, but I'm saying to you that you gotta blog, right? And you gotta be, and I'm just gonna say this one last thing. You gotta be conscious of how you use social media. See, when you just regular person, then you can use it however you want to use it. But when you make the decision, you want to teach, you want to lead, you want to be a speaker, you want to be a consultant, you're no longer just regular person posting anymore. You are now a person that has more eyes on you than the average person, right? When you're in these capacities, you're a celebrity. You're a quasi celebrity, but you're a celebrity within the education world. If you're a principal of a school, you are a celebrity to the folks that know you're a principal. If you're a teacher, you're a celebrity to your kids. If you're a speaker, consultant like we do, you're a celebrity in the education space, right? So therefore, you have to be mindful of how you use social media, right? I can't put every emotion on social media anymore, right? I can't just say anything. I'm mad about something in the world. I mean, I can address it, but I gotta sit still and be very strategic about how I write it. I could tell you all, there have been times it took me an hour to write a 1-paragraph post. right? Because it got to be right, because it could be repercussions, right? That little thing I told you about my monologue, I'm not even counting that in that category, right? But just things that are political, I got to be careful, because it could be perceived differently and it can completely destroy my business, right? One little tweet, one little post, because I wasn't careful in how I wrote it, and it offended large numbers of people unintentionally, and now my business is shattered. My business is destroyed, right? But let me give you this flip side, because y'all hear me on this Saturday sometime when I go off on the monologue. I also made a decision that I'm going to be me. So if I'm on that monologue, I'm talking about one of them days when I get hot, like one of them days, y'all remember I broke down and started crying. If it's something that I'm passionate about, then I'm going to let it fly. But if it's some issue I'm addressing, but that's not my passion, then let me make sure that I'm saying it correctly. But if it's my passion, I'm not worried about that. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to be me. So there's a whole lot of different things to consider as it relates to transitioning to entrepreneurship or doing it simultaneously. I was an entrepreneur and a principal at the same time. I was a teacher and an entrepreneur at the same time. It's just that I did a lot of my work on the weekends or in the evening. But there's a lot to consider. I'll put this out in the universe. I will be doing some kind of seminar at some point. I just don't know when. You know, a friend of mine inboxed me the other day. He said he's doing one. He asked, could we do it together? I said, I'm just not ready. Right. But at some point I'll probably need at least 3 days. Right. Because there's so much to talk about with that. So it'll be a boot camp. And then that way I'll find out who's serious. I would never charge exorbitant prices, just like I don't charge exorbitant prices for my clients. I'm probably one of the least expensive speakers on the planet. Right. And the client, I mean, let me just say this part. The clients get on my case. Imagine that. You would think the client would be saying like, you're too high. The clients will pull me to the side, because it happened recently. And the client said, Principal Kafele, you can't be serious. That's all you charge? I said, yeah, because if I charge more, you'll be somewhere talking about me saying Kafele charges so much, blah, blah, blah. Right? So I go this route, but let me throw this at y'all. And then I let the money I make work for me.
That's right.
Y'all, let me tell y'all something, man. I made 6 figures on interest last year. Right. I made a whole salary while I was asleep, y'all. So it's being smart with your money. Right. And I don't take high risk. I don't go into high risk investments. I don't have to. I find low risk and make good decisions. I made 6 figures the last several years while I was asleep. That money was working, and that's in a bad economy, right? So I'm saying that. So therefore, I don't have to charge exorbitant fees, because I don't do this work to get rich. You know, I do this work because it's my passion, and you always got to have that sequence. If you working to get rich, then I'm not even the guy to talk to, because I don't know what to tell you. But if you working just to walk in your passion, and then you get rewarded for it, then I'm a well of information, right? So it depends on your sequence, right? But see, you're like Adrian said, personal financial literacy. You got to know how to let your money work for you. I'm gonna close on this point in terms of my remarks. I say to a lot of my speaker colleagues, you make a bad, and I'm not saying this to boast, y'all. I'm just keeping it real with you, because we family here on this platform. If I make a bad post, a bad tweet, a bad whatever, and my business is destroyed financially, I'm good. I'm good. How long? Till I'm at least 125. I'm good. I can go on here and mess up and they shut me down, to use the vernacular of the young people. They can cancel me. But financially, I'm good. Right? And that's where you want to be as an entrepreneur. Right?
Yes.
Not living contract to contract, but you want to get to a point where, oh man, I'm good. I can retire anytime I want to. I can make a bad tweet. I can make a bad statement somewhere, and I'm good.
I love it, Pele. One thing I can think of, and this is just my perspective, and she can speak to this from hers, but I think one of the best things that happened for us was being able to connect with the resources that are out there for you to really, if you're serious about the work and really serious about moving forward, you need to have a plan for what you're going to do. So just knowing what those resources are, creating that business plan was life changing for us. Like it isn't just by happenstance, and that's what Principal Kafele is saying. Like it takes work, and it also takes vision. You don't just get up and start doing that work. You have to plan for what that needs to look like. And I'm sure that his investment portfolio is a part of his business plan. That's why he's able to say that he's in such an incredible position. Hats off to you. We are. That's why you're the GOAT, and we're humbled to be here with you. But if you're really serious about entrepreneurship, especially from an education perspective, edupreneur is sometimes what she could cause that. I just like he is, we definitely be willing to share whatever we can to help you to get that journey started. But just really sitting down to figure out what the plan is and then determining what resources are available, because there are a plethora of them that are available to us as entrepreneurs. And so that's where I would say I think would be you get more bang for your buck.
I'm gonna add
And
something. If
go
I could,
ahead.
guys, I apologize. This is
No.
from a student standpoint. I think financial literacy all the time. We have this ongoing debate about summer reading and how important it is for kids. I am a huge proponent for reading, no doubt about it. I think every child at 10th grade should be reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm going to say that again. Every child in 10th grade should be reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad as the book of choice for their financial literacy. I'm in a vocational school. Kids start their own businesses as a result of this. If we don't give them a firm foundation for their financial success in the future, shame on us. And financial literacy has been out the window since we have all these state standards that we have to get through for these state tests. We have an obligation to tomorrow's future to ensure they know what's going on. That's all I wanted to add.
Love it. Love it.
That's so true, Dean. And I've read that book as well. And the generational studies PD that we do, 86% of Generation Alpha students have some type of entrepreneurial passion. So in education, we really don't have lots of focuses on entrepreneurship unless it's at a career and tech center. But going back to what does it take to be an entrepreneur, Create and Educate, Tammy and I are the 2023 Local Entrepreneur Accelerator Program winners for our area. We did a pitch competition and we pitched our Build My Sister program, which basically after passion, which Principal Kafele talked about, you want to solve a problem. And the problem that we were solving was that as Black women in leadership, we had no support that was in our area. Now we reached out and got support from people like Principal Hurt and Principal Kafele, but in our specific space, those support structures didn't exist. So we have become what we needed as a company. So our Build My Sister collaborative is that, where in our area, we plan to reach out to local companies to try to bridge the wage gap, to make sure that people are aware of the adversity that happens with Black women in leadership, make sure those pay gaps are bridged so that ultimately impacts the Black children in our community, because many of them are in single parent homes. So when you level up the Black woman, you're going to automatically level up Black children. So the event that we've just put out there for our virtual event for February. We just released the information about it 2 days ago. We already have 380 people registered, so we are completely excited. But after passion, solve a problem, and like Tammy said, definitely have that plan. Do not sleep on the Small Business Development Association. We have a free SCORE mentor that we meet with regularly that continues to give us free game. He's getting us set up with being registered minority-owned businesses to get us into different types of contracts that we can receive. Principal Hurt, we wouldn't even have thought of it unless he encouraged and pushed us to do that. Principal Kafele, following his example and his push, and just being in a space where people believe in what you're doing and are giving you that encouragement. You have to surround yourself with the right people.
Definitely. And make sure that you are accessing those resources, like Sheikah said, because we didn't even know those resources were there. And just to go back to one of the things that Sheikah said about the Bill My Sister, if you hear us talk about the people who poured into us, you're talking about Principal Kafele and Principal Hurd and Dr. Kua. You'll hear one female name for every 5 men. Sharon Porter, Dr. Sharon was one of those women. So you do have a person here and there. Dr. Chester was there. But what we found is they are so few and far between. We're opening up that network for Black women and their allies. So if you are either a Black woman or an ally, you are welcome to sign up for the event.
Love it.
Can I add just one thing, Principal Kafele, if you don't mind?
Yes, sir.
Another part of it is consistency. If I can say consistency, well, what do you mean by that? Talk to me about that. When I started off, I spent at least 3 to 4 hours per day working my business. Working my business. Well, what does that look like? Either reading, listening to things on YouTube, following different posts, writing things down, reflecting what I did at work. Everything that I did was geared toward me promoting my business. It was. And then I put every check. We all educators, you get paid every 2 weeks. I'm putting $100, $50 to the side, because if I had to pay for something, I didn't want it to mess up my money that I had to be able to take care of bills. So I put stuff to the side. So now when it was time for me to get the business cards, when it's time for me to get my website going, when it's time for me to get a little polo shirt with my logo, all those things, I was able to purchase that because I'm putting things to the side to make sure I was doing it and being consistent, not for a month, not for 2 months, but consistent all the way to the finish line.
And you are that consistent. He's the little goat. I don't know what you call little goat kids.
I'd like to tell all the listeners out there to follow me and follow Sheikah, Tammy, Jefe, and Sean, because I have a 4-year-old, so I'll be working till I'm 120 years old.
Yeah. Well, look here, y'all. This was great stuff. We got one in for each, and so that means we still got 12 more questions to go. So we'll be back. I'll reach out to y'all so we can schedule it. And but any closing thoughts? Let's go around. I'll call you as I see you on my screen. Dr. Houston.
Those of you that tune in each week, like Principal Kafele always calls us, we consider ourselves to be family. We're a part of the family. If there is anything that you need, let us know. We needed support when we were in the hot seat in school improvement, and it was platforms like this one where we were able to get that support. So do not sit out in a silo, feeling like you have to know all of the answers, that you have to know everything. Reach out to us. We are here to help.
Good stuff. Dr. Taylor.
Yes, sir. And
let the folks know y'all's contact information too as you come on, or okay, social media, whatever it is.
Okay.
Yes. So just to echo Sheikah's sentiment, we relied on this to get us through some of the things that we've had to go through, and became exactly what it was we needed in order to be a blessing to other people. Just know that when you build that circle of trust and you have this family, your Saturday morning, Sunday night family, we're here to help you to get through whether it's a dry spot or whether you're flourishing in what you do. Just know that you have folks that you can call upon and that we are paying this forward because we believe in you, just like somebody had to believe in us. And who'd have thought, Josh, that I'm sitting on here with Principal Kafele? Come on.
Oh man, come on. I appreciate you. Hey, Dean, jump on in.
Hey, listen, first and foremost, it's been an absolute pleasure spending some time with all of you this morning. My advice to all of you out there, network, and then when you're done, continue to network. Our business, our jobs aren't easy. You need to make sure that you give yourself grace. You need to make sure that you have fun, make sure you smile, make sure that you're doing what you love, as I said earlier. Hey, you can find me at BP Principal VT on Twitter or at Unlock the Middle. We've had over 675 episodes of bringing great personalities from around the country on, just talking educational jargon that just makes us all a little bit better. But man, I'll tell you, I'll be Sunday night at 7:00 as part of the Fantastic Four. We are super stoked and just so grateful to be here at this table with all of you today.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So again, that's Unlock the Middle, y'all. Sunday nights at 7:00 with Dean and Josh. Sean Hurt.
The question I want to ask is that what is stopping you from being great? I'm going to say that again. What's stopping you from being great? After this podcast, take time and reflect. And moving forward, I want you to be the best educator in the world. There's nothing stopping you but yourself. Let's go in and be great. I don't want you to be good. You will be great. The other part is that you can find me on all social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Sean Hurt. Just type in Sean Hurt, and I have my Saturday morning podcast at 10:00, the Fantastic Four, and nothing is stopping you from being great.
That's it. So again, Sean Hurt, 10:00, Create and Educate, 10:30. That's Facebook Live, Eastern time, and then Dean and Josh, 7:00 on Sunday nights Eastern time. Josh Tovar.
I'd like to say that don't reach out to Tammy on social media. There's not enough characters on your handle. So please, if you got to get a hold of this lady, talk to Chica, because we'll leave it at that. And I'd like to thank Dean Packer for getting all these shows together on Sunday, on Wednesday, on Monday. He groups everybody together. And like he said, over 600 of his program, his shows, doing everything awesome. So thanks to Unlock the Middle for bringing all of this talent, from national speakers to the Fantastic Four there. And I just like to close with what I read to myself, and I share with you. People are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you're kind, people may accuse you of selfish motives. Be kind anyway. If you're successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you're honest and sincere, people may deceive you. Be honest and sincere anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give them your best anyway. In the final analysis, it is between you and God. It never was between you and them anyway. Mother Teresa. God bless you. 24. Wow. Let's go.
Wow, that was powerful stuff. Let me close saying Dr. Melissa Chester has been on the whole time. She's under Black Educators Rock Inc. And we'll be back on tonight at 8:00 Eastern for NIA. So tune in. I'll share it to my page, so you can just go right to my page at Principal Kafele. Secondly, hit us with those emojis, y'all. If today was beneficial, if it resonated with you, if it's useful, if it added value, any of that, then give us those emojis. Let us know. That's the way that we applaud on this platform. And this is not for me. This is for the 5 of them. Y'all hit it out the park, man. Grand slam every time you came to bat. Man, I can't calculate that right now in my head live, but whatever it is, 4 times up, 5 of y'all. Yeah, so I see all that fire, y'all. I appreciate it. And my final statement, let me just say, today is December 30th. You'll be going back to work, I guess, back to school, I should say, I guess about January 2nd, I guess, for most. January 3rd, I guess it'll be the 2nd, though. Let me just say this to you. Don't walk in there. If you're expecting to elevate your game for 2024, don't walk in there empty-handed on January 2nd, right? If you walk in there empty-handed, meaning that you have failed to plan. I'm not talking about your strategic plan. I'm not talking about your school improvement plan. I'm talking about your AP plan, your principal so-and-so plan, right? If you walk in there empty-handed and you've had all these days and you did not plan what your life is getting ready to look like in the building for the next whatever number of months, 5 months for some, 6 months for others, then you've pretty much planned to failed to plan. Right. So you got to plan for 2024. You got to disconnect and detach all your devices. Right. Just shut it down. And then except for your device you're going to use, because I keep forgetting this. We're in a modern time now. So everybody ain't using this no more. Right. So including me. Right. Everything is on this laptop. So whatever your medium is, plan. What will the first week of January look like? And what are the goals that are attached to the plan? What will the first month look like? What will February look like? What will March, April, May, June look like? Some of y'all, June is summer, but if you live where I live, June is a regular month, right? So what will it look like, right? Write that out and then attach goals to it. Attach a vision to it. But do not walk into the building empty-handed, because if you do that, all you're doing is bringing 2023 into the building with you. And I don't care if you were superstar in 2023, you can still elevate, but you got to have a plan. That's my final words. I appreciate y'all for being here. Thanks to those of you that were with all of us throughout the year. We thank you collectively and ask you for your continued support, because I think that when you log on every Saturday morning and Sunday night with us, I think it adds value to all of us. You being here for me, you being here for Sheikah and Tammy and Dean and Sean and Josh, it's not only designed to add value to your leadership, but just you being here adds value to our leadership. Right? You all, just by the fact that you're on here has made me better. Right? So, and I just want to continue to get better. Some of you have heard me say many times, I love the work I do Monday to Friday, but I don't care what they pay me. I don't care how big the stage and how big the audience. There's nothing that compares to my joy for Saturday morning. Nothing. Right? I don't care what conference, what prestige the conference has. And all them conferences know. They'll call me. They'll email me. We want you to keynote this and that. I say, all right, I will. But I need 10:30, which I prep at 10:30, final prep at 10:30. And then I go live at 10:55. So I say from 10:30 to about 1 o'clock, I can't do it. So if I can speak before or if I can speak after, let's do it. But if you need me in that block, I can't do it. I gotta be here. Right? This is everything to me professionally, right? So you make me better. So with that said, y'all, have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Peace. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back. Hold on. I ain't tell y'all one thing. I didn't do my whole breakdown, but I gotta give you this one. Next Saturday, oh man, I called my milking for. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all hanging there for 1 second, and y'all stay on when I go off. I forgot this. This is important. Y'all know I won the Milking Award back in 2009. Well, I decided to devote the entire month of January to milking. So I called a lot of my milking brothers and sisters. That's what we call ourselves. So starting the first week of first Saturday in January, I got these, and these are my brothers. I got my man Wade Whitehead and my man Nader Twal. One is in Virginia, the other one's in California. They're gonna be on with me live, and these are my brothers. These are my milking brothers. And then each Saturday is gonna be someone that won the milking award. Some of them will have more than 2. We'll have like 5 on one of them. But that's what we're gonna do. It's just gonna be all milking. These are my milking brothers and sisters. I see a lot of them every year when we have the milking forum in the spring. But that's how we're gonna do that. So join me next Saturday. These are 2 interesting guys. Wade's resume is unlike anything I've ever read or experienced in my life. And this man has been in the same classroom teaching for 29 years. The same one room. He's a superstar teacher. You're gonna get a lot from this man because he gonna bring some stuff. And then Nader, oh man, I can't wait. But that's next week. Have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace, peace, thumbs up, cock that fist back all the way. Count the 3. Bring it into 2024. 1, 2, 3. Bam! I see y'all next Saturday. Happy New Year.